Your next topic, which is near and dear to my heart, because I've seen so many plaintiffs' attorneys burn out in under 3 years, frankly, and almost none of them make it even 10 years. But your topic is, what did you find most exhausting about your plaintiff side practice? I got to know. What is it?
I honestly think, and I hate to say it because your audience is probably a lot of people who want to be clients or something, at some level. But I mean, managing the clients was one of the hardest things. Their expectations, that was really hard. And also the financial risk as an attorney, especially if you're on a contingent fee kind of representation, that you're tied to this person who may be kind of irrational and doesn't, and all that. But for me, I think that the real problem is this in a plaintiff's practice, to me, and just my own opinion, is that, when you win, which is an amazing feeling. I mean, it's an amazing feeling. You persuaded a judge or you persuaded a jury, you came to a great resolution, you accomplished justice. I mean, there could be nothing better. And maybe you set a cause of action in some other, organization to change and get better. Let's hope, right? But even when you win, you're helping one person at a time, a person you might not ever see again, who may send you a card, may thank you, may go and, use their newly found profits to do nonsense with. You don't know. And then you're left with the next case and the same thing over and over, right? And that's hard because mentally, although you get those positive personal interactions, plaintiffs' attorneys are, I mean, I think they're a very tight-knit group because there's a lot of plaintiffs like listservs where everybody can commiserate and exchange information. So plaintiffs' lawyers tend to be pretty tight compared to maybe other groups, I think. In-house counsel is kind of like just going to the golf club of people. They're nice, but it's just like, everybody is very in-house. I don't know how to describe it. It's just different. So my heart is with the plaintiffs, but it's a much more lonely existence in the sense there's less, or it can be. Your clients are usually individuals. Your plaintiffs' firms are not as large as usually compared to a defense firm. A defense firm could have 80 offices and whatever, and nationwide, international, and hundreds of people you've never even made. I mean, they're big because they have big institutional clients. Whereas you're representing Joe Blow got into a car accident or whose boss discriminated against them, and you don't have huge networks of plaintiffs' attorneys generally or huge firms. So you're a little more isolated, I would say. You're representing individuals. That individual, you have a successful result or not successful result or whatever, they go away. And then you're back in your office the next day to fight the new fight. And that is, I think, it's hard because as corporate counsel, I go every day and I have my team of people who are, really good. I like them. I think they're nice people. I mean, we're all idiosyncratic. We're all weird. We all argue. I mean, whatever, but I like them. And I have a team of people and they're real. And it's not just lawyers either. They're kind of, it's all different kinds of people. So I think it's a little bit easier on the defense side. And also, you make bigger changes. There's a saying, and I'm going to butcher it. I'm terrible with sayings, but it's like, who does more, in the criminal context, who does more good? One really amazing, criminal defense attorney or, public defender, or one really good prosecutor who knows when to charge people and knows when to be moderate about things. Right. Yes. That prosecutor on the other side does great good, actually, by being the voice of reason in their office. Like, hey, wait a minute, this guy's 18. Let's give him a break. This person is absolutely inveterate. Never, we're taking this to the end. But that person does a lot of good. And I think that in-house counsel, if they're reasonable, can really do a lot of good in manifesting across a bigger organization of people positivity. I mean, that's the way I view it. I view it as, how do we reduce errors, make people's transactions and lives easier, account for things that we've done poorly and change them. How do we be, and at the same time, not be taken advantage of by people who really do, some plaintiffs are not great. I mean, I've certainly had them as my clients, right? Sure. So I think it's the loneliness of the battle, and it's, you're sent to the front all the time. You're like the soldier who's always being sent to the front line. And it's like, yeah, come back. You get 2 days break back there, but go back to the front again, get into the dirty trench, and fight.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe as corporate counsel, it's more like holistic, where you're like, well, let's have a cup of coffee and see how the entire battle will be waged and how we just, destroy less overall. and so it feels more strategic. It probably is more impactful in that respect. But then you don't get the joy of, in the corporate counsel, it was best day. You pleased your fellow C-suite executives or the corporation's owners or whatever. And maybe you got some internal satisfaction. But for a plaintiff's guy, you did help an individual. Unfortunately, that individual is going to give you a hug, a handshake, maybe some tears, and you won't see them again.
You're helping one person at a time and you're alone and you're always in the front lines. It's something I used to say to our associates when they would come in, and they often find their first year very challenging in plaintiff's practice. And I would, what I thought was a pep talk, I would say, hey, the problem's a brick wall. And every day we run into the brick wall at full speed and we slam into it. The difference is every day it feels like the brick wall wins, but we can heal. The brick wall can't. So in the end, with enough of us, we'll break the brick wall, right? And I thought that was inspiring. They advised me it was not. So I have since abandoned that perspective.
Well, wow, that was probably the best.
What?
That's exactly what I would have liked to have heard. I was a solo, so I was associating with attorneys and so on. So I was in kind of a more uniquely lonesome position. But I will say, I admire what you said to them. I think it is exactly the truth. And if you can't hear that as a plaintiff's attorney, first year, second, whatever year you are, then it's probably not right for you. I mean, I would say, because that message is just the truth.
But who is it right for? Like the people who are right for this field are so uncommon, I think.
I think you're right.
And I can tell that you were very good at it, right? And it's, I don't know. I'll never know what mix of the qualities of a person can help them survive this kind of practice.
I am jealous of not the people who win all the time, the big cases, and these great firms who are like killing it every year and get 20 trial. Like, I don't know how they do it. I am so respectful of them. Like if you'll hear these people, it's like, I just finished the 6th trial this year and 5 out of 6 of them went great. And you're like, wow. And, you made $100 million. That's amazing. I think that's all awesome.
I know.
But there is something to be said for that mindset of like, I can lose and wake up again, get out of bed and go back to the front lines and fight the case again. I have so much respect for that, because if you can acknowledge your losses and how, first of all, you get better if you know what you did wrong. But if you can accept that and just say, you know what, and it's hard, I've lost, and I can say it's totally not my fault. I'd love to tell you, if we have more time, another time, about a case that really went south on me, and it was just insane. I mean, it was a jury trial, and the courtroom people were like, "We feel so sorry for you." That's how bad it was. They saw me in the hallway and they expressed their empathy journey to deal with my client. But I think it's that personality type who's willing to do that and to fight the good fight. It's almost like somebody who like knows that maybe overall you're going to lose the battle, but they're not going to give up their town and they're going to keep fighting, and they might be the last one and there's 30 people on the other side. But I think you got to have that kind of mentality, and I have a great admiration for that, for fighting the good fight, even if even if you don't always win. When you do win, it feels great, but again, you got to wake up the next day and do it again. I think there are people like that. I think this country has a lot of people who are committed to justice. I think plaintiffs attorneys generally are that kind of person. Not always, but a lot of the time. Whereas I think defense counsel, generally speaking, are more, establishment oriented, because that's who they associate with. And there's a role for that too, it's an adversarial system. So that's what you get. You get the true believers versus the people who want to moderate things and kind of look at the group and maybe have a more moderated approach to things. So but it can be depressing. It can be depressing. It can be emotional, at least. That's for sure.
So I like that phrase, true believer, because a lot of times, and get this from in-house counsel and from defense counsel sometimes with like, after the case is done, you're at the bar and they're like, okay, case is over. You can tell me that was all bullshit, right? And it's like, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I think I am a true believer. You know what I mean? Like, it's very rare that we have a case on the books that I don't feel good about. And they come by. There's no plaintiff's attorney going to tell you they feel good about all their cases. You take them when you take them, and then you owe this person a duty of loyalty, and then something happens. You're like, oh, I don't know about this one anymore. Not that they're lying. It's just I don't know how I feel about this case in general. Excuse me, but I like to think of most plaintiff's attorneys as true believers.